recalling, inhibiting. Somebody said I bite my tongue and pace. Was that you, Stan? Yeah, you know, when the prefrontal cortex isn't working, there's no inhibiting, right? So you're not going to bite your tongue. It's just going to blurt out. So would you agree that it's kind of a problem when the amygdala hijacks the prefrontal cortex, when it's AWOL? So that's essentially what happens biologically. Now there's a little trick in there, which is from the time that the amygdala recognizes the danger and starts sending those signals to the rest of our body until we actually act, there is a gap of 6 seconds. Biologically, chemically, that's the case. Now 6 seconds doesn't sound very long, but in reality, it is, you know, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi. That's a gap. That's a real gap. So remember that. Keep that in mind. That's part of where we're going. So the problem with the amygdala is that it sees everything as a danger. Not very discerning. It's a little bit like what Alice talked about in her talk last week. Those of you who were here, you may remember that she said our inner critic is like a 5-year-old. Well, that's kind of like, that's what the amygdala is acting like. It's not discerning. It sees everything as a danger. So anything can be a threat. And sometimes it's as minor as a missed deadline, or being thwarted in something that we want, or perceived unfairness, or criticism, those things that sometimes just, for whatever reason, set us off. And if we're not paying attention, we're going to get hijacked. And like I said, blame it on the brain. It's not your fault, it's your brain's fault. Now, where does your brain belong to? That's another question. So yes, we are in charge. We may not know it, but we are in charge, or at least we have the opportunity to be in charge. So, is there anything that we can do to preempt that amygdala hijack? Well, of course there is. I wouldn't be here talking to you if there wasn't. And in fact, many of you had some things that you do. And what we're talking about here today is all of us kind of know something to do to calm us down, right? Is there anybody who came in here with no ideas about that? Probably not. Do we always do it? I don't know about you. I mean, I'm the one up here giving all the advice. And I sometimes just flat out lose it and then go, why didn't I listen to what I tell other people to do? Why didn't I do what I know to do? And, you know, somehow that's just the way it is. So in terms of what we can do, let me first ask the question. Do you have certain people or certain situations who kind of routinely tend to push your buttons? Anybody got people like that, situations like that? Okay, I think, you know, it's probably, it's not only a handful of us who have those circumstances, right? And it just sends you into an emotional train wreck when they do that to you, right? Even though you know that it's going to happen, it just does. So first, it's important to know what your triggers are. What are the things that set you off? Why? Because if you know what they are, then you have the opportunity to think ahead and think about how you want to act strategically in those situations with those people and choose what you're going to do instead of letting your amygdala hijack you and shut down your thinking brain. I mean, that's the worst thing that could happen to us in those situations, right? We need to be able to think clearly, and we're not able to if we let the amygdala have its way. It's just a brat. It's a 5-year-old brat, okay? I'm sorry. We couldn't live without it. Just remember that, okay? So then, once you know what your triggers are, it's also important to know what are the signs that you're beginning to get hijacked? Where do you feel it in your body when those emotions are beginning to rise? And if you let them keep rising, you may lose it. So for some of us, where is it for you? Heart rate, gut, chest, shoulders, chest, blood flow.
Shortness of breath.
Pardon?
Shortness of breath.
Shortness of breath, yeah.
Flushing of red in the face.
Yeah, getting red in the face. Maybe shaking, getting clammy hands. Maybe clenching our jaw. Or, the thing about biting your tongue is a literal thing, right? Because we may literally bite our tongue when we begin to clench our jaw, clench our teeth. So knowing what those signs are, paying attention, and noticing when they start. So when you feel yourself begin to start getting a little shaky, or you feel that feeling in your gut, or you feel the tension begin to start here, say, oh boy, wait a minute, I'm about to be hijacked, don't want that to happen, and then you can make different choices. So first, you know your triggers. Second, you know what the signs are that it's about to happen to you. And then you can consciously use some tried and true techniques for helping you keep your cool. And you talked about them already. The first one that I like to call hitting the pause button, okay? Remember that 6-second gasp? You want to extend that, right? You want to slow it down. So you want to hit the pause button and go, wait a minute, gotta think here, so that you're getting that process slowed down a little bit, and you've actually got more than 6 seconds before the freight train hits, right? And how do you do that? You gave the answer already. Deep breathing, taking long, slow, deep breaths. Now, that long and slow is important. If you just go, it's not going to get you there, right? It's got to be long and slow. And Beth was right on. Do it more than once. Just one deep breath isn't probably going to completely slow you down, calm you down. You want to release the tension. You want to interrupt the cycle. It's like you're going to chop right in the middle of that 6 seconds and say, halt, stop, don't you do it, amygdala, you just. Now, that leads us to the next one. Speak calmly to yourself and to your amygdala. And you say things like, okay, this is going to be fine, or I got it under control, or you know what, nobody's going to die here. That's a really important one to say to your amygdala, right? Because your amygdala is trying to protect you from dying in one way or another. So talk calmly to yourself and to your amygdala. And again, you're just slowing it down, prolonging it, and hopefully getting yourself into a space that you can do something. Now, some of you said, I just get out, I take a break. Thank goodness you did that. If you had stayed, who knows? But sometimes you have to buy yourself some time. Sometimes, if you just say, I'll be right back. You don't have to explain where you're going. Let them think you're going to the restroom. Let them think anything they want to. But give yourself some time and space. If you don't feel good about standing there and going, in front of them, right? It's good to go away in a corner where you can do it in privacy. Or you can even say, can we just take a break and come back to this in 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever? And you don't have to say, I'm about to lose it. I'm going to suck you. You just say, can we take a break and come back to this? That's all. And that's a really important piece of it. If you find that everything you've done so far hasn't worked, that you're kind of still under the gun, or under pressure, and that amygdala is just like, ready to go. And it is. It's always ready to go. Always ready to go. So the last